Hello everyone, my name is Vincent Teo and I'm a TV reviewer and professional calibrator. I'm down south calibrating a TV for a customer of mine, Mr. Stephen George, and he's been kind enough to let me run some tests on the Sony 75-inch ZD9. Now the cinema room has a 7.2.2 Dolby Atmos system that has been installed by Creative Rooms, but the centerpiece of this cinema room is definitely this massive 75-inch Sony ZD9 or Z9D in the USA 4K LED LCD television. Now there have been some questions about whether there's actually any difference from the 65-inch to the 75-inch version of the Sony ZD9. We have reviewed the 65-inch version, but Sony themselves, they don't have a review sample of the 75-inch version to send out to publications for review, which is why I've asked Mr. Stephen George whether he would be kind enough to let me run some tests on his 75-inch version, and he has been generous enough to say yes. So first thing first, I calibrated the screen for both SDR and HDR and also for 3D, and Steve is a very big 3D fan with almost 100 3D Blu-rays, and this is certainly one of the last screens that supports 3D playback. One of the first tests that I ran on this television is my usual custom order test pattern consisting of a white box crawling slowly across the edges of a black background horizontally and then vertically, and I counted around 40 vertical columns and then 20 horizontal rows, giving us a total of 800 dimming zones. And this is more than the number of dimming zones that I've counted on the 65-inch ZD9, which has around 648 dimming zones. So this is certainly a step up in terms of the number of dimming zones increasing correspondingly with the increase in screen size. So 800 dimming zones gives a fantastic looking contrast both in SDR and HDR. Certainly when watching SDR content, the top and bottom letterbox bars are almost inky black with some bias lighting, and for HDR, the light output combined with the superb local dimming algorithm that Sony has implemented on this TV allows a truly three-dimensional image, even though it's not in 3D for HDR content. Now let's talk about peak brightness then. For the 65-inch ZD9, the peak brightness usually runs around 1800 nits. The peak brightness on the set, I've measured it at around 1880 nits after calibrating to D65 white point, so it is not significantly higher than the 65-inch ZD9, but it's not lower as well, and full field peak brightness is running around 800 nits after calibration, which is really fantastic, and it does give this screen so much light reserve, so much control over how light is distributed on the screen, and it has the potential to actually blast it out if necessary in a bright scene. So HDR content, we watched the Times Square New York fight scene from Spider-Man 2, and it just looked amazing with all the detail and the colors and the play between light and dark, the texture on Spidey's websuit. It's just a fantastic HDR experience, and I watched it with Steve with a stupid grin on our faces. Really, this brings home the immersive HDR experience. And other things that people may want to know about this television versus a 65-inch version is whether this has less dark smearing or black trailing compared with the 65-inch version. I ran my usual content of a girl swinging on a hammock on this television, and to my eyes I can still see some dark smearing, and this is due to the slower response time of a VA type LCD panel versus an OLED which has almost instantaneous pixel response time. But it is not something that many people would notice from a normal viewing distance, right? In terms of the color gamut, it hits around 95% of DCI-P3 color gamut, but the strength of this television is certainly in terms of the number of local dimming zones. 800 zones is definitely by far the highest that we've actually counted to date for a full array local dimming LED LCD, and it gives this television an unparalleled light control over different parts of the image, even with bright elements and dark elements coexisting on screen, and it just gives HDR that sort of pop that you can never get on lesser displays. Okay, I would like to thank Steve again for letting me run all these tests on this television, and my next hope is that I'll be able to run some tests on the 100-inch ZD9, slowly going up the ladder in terms of screen size. If you found this video useful, please click the like button and subscribe to the HDTV Test YouTube channel for more videos like this. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you the next time.